Great! You've decided to learn a language. Any modern language offers more useful benefits than Latin, though. But Latin has all the delights of a logical puzzle, a time capsule, and a secret code. Plus, I heard somewhere that it can help to sharpen your mind, cultivate mental alertness, create keener attention to detail, develop critical thinking, and enhance problem-solving abilities. So the question is not why learn Latin, but can we start already? And most importantly, how does one learn Latin? This is the Refold Method, also known as the Mass Immersion Approach, created by Matt vs. Japan and Yoga. It is a method to teach oneself a modern language, but I have changed some things to better suit the study of Latin, because Latin does not have a native speaker anymore, and the number of resources are considerably much lower than any modern language. This is the first part of a series. The next episode I will go more into detail about each individual stage, the tools used, and how to set them up, as well as any other environmental things about the setup of Latin. I will also go through a Latin campaign myself and report back with any progress. Language acquisition. There are two main terms that one must know to understand this method of language learning. The first one is called acquisition, and the other is studying. Acquisition stems from the belief set on by linguist Stefan Krashen that languages are learned by building an intuitive knowledge of the language. This is how we learn our maternal language. If you look around at kids, they have no idea about the subjunctive or the past participle, Yet, they still know how to pretty much speak like anyone else. Studying a language is the act of studying about the language, meaning one is learning the language pretty much as any other skill, such as studying biology, math, and so on. From my experience, and from all that I gathered from other people around me, this system of learning a language is actually pretty good. Good in the sense of passing Friday's test, and that's all. But learning a language to fluently speak it and read it, one must look at another way. What sounds right or wrong in a language often does not have any concrete answer, does not have any reason or rhyme, such as in biology and math. You may be able to translate a phrase, word for word, from English to, say, Korean, but probably it won't make any sense. Even if it does, it won't sound natural. Language is highly specific in unpredictable ways. It is important to keep every grammar rule and language-specific phrasing in your head while trying to have a conversation. Through evolution, your brain has a built-in mechanism for this exact problem. You don't have to phrase and keep track of all these grammar rules. Every single one of us was born with the ability to naturally acquire languages. Contrary to popular belief, this ability does not disappear when you become an adult. It rather strengthens it. In fact, by pairing your mature analytical mind with your innate language acquisition ability, you can learn languages faster than children. One can replicate acquisition that kids do, only without the need of a mother or a parent that talks to them every minute. Your friend is called the internet, but for Latin, that would be mainly books. This is the roadmap, steps into conquering Latin. It takes you from knowing nothing to being the most able language reader and speaker. The first step, or stage as I call it, is to build a foundation. You think that a child has an innate ability to learn languages, and adults will never match the power for children to acquire languages. But this is false. For example, by 18 months, a child might be able to speak perhaps 20 to 100 meaningful words, and that's all. An adult with the right tools can learn this exact thing in a week. In stage 1, you will use traditional language learning tools like flashcards, vocabulary lists, and grammar guides, but in a different way. Instead of using these tools to learn how to speak, you will learn only for understanding. You will only study in one direction, from your target language, which is Latin, to your native language. Presumably, this is English. This is called inputting. You will not attempt to speak or write until the later stages. Speaking and writing is called outputting. Simultaneously, you will try to begin immersing in your target language. At the start, it will be very simple, but then it would increase in difficulty. The vocabulary and grammar you learn will immediately make your immersion more comprehensible. When your brain sees a word and understands it in immersion, you will start developing the instinct for how to use that example word. You can think of this process as building a little machine in your head that converts the foreign gibberish into pure, indescribable meaning. In combination of conscious study and immersion, gives your brain all the tools it needs to build this machine. Stage 2 to 3 would be to develop your comprehension. The key to developing comprehension quickly is to narrow down your focus. Rather than randomly choosing textbooks or studying random vocabulary lists that your friend might have sent you, you will choose the immersion content that you will want to learn from. And this is where the enjoyment of learning begins. In stage 2, you will focus your conscious study on your immersion. By focusing your study on exactly what you need to understand for your immersion, you will create a feedback loop between the two, accelerating your language acquisition. You will start with the most comprehensible media, then build off in difficulty until you can understand your native level content aimed at an adult audience. This, for example, can mean classical Latin literature. By starting with easier media, you can build a solid foundation of understanding and enjoy the media you're immersing in. Once you've attained a decent level of comprehension, you will narrow down your focus and master a small subset of the language. Once you have a near-perfect comprehension of this small subset, you'll be ready to write and speak. The second part to stage 2 is just an expansion of whatever you're reading now and creating a bit more difficulty, as well as any other additional guides, such as the monolingual transition, advanced techniques for sentence mining, and the beginning of using pure listening as immersion. Learn to write in Latin. If you've ever tried to learn a second language, you know that speaking or writing in a language that you learn through study is exhausting, while speaking in your native language is nearly effortless. One of the coolest part of acquisition is the moment when your brain starts outputting naturally, without any sudden effort taking place. You've received enough comprehensible input that your little machine in your head starts to run in reverse and spitting out novel, natural language. Once you've reached this point, you're ready to input. You've spent all of this time building a pool of latent ability through input. The next step is to convert that latent ability into output ability. In stage 4, you will deliberately expose yourself into situations that will expose you to output, such as writing and speaking. Exposing yourself to these situations causes your brain to search through your pool of acquired knowledge of the language and to make those words and phrases available for you to output. Sometimes your brain won't be able to find things right away. These moments show you where you haven't acquired the language yet. Aimed with this knowledge, you can target your immersion to fill these gaps. With rinse and repeat, you will be on a whole new level of Latin acquisition. Learning a language takes time, but it's not complicated. The challenge of learning a language isn't like calculus. It's more like losing weight. There's no single thing that's difficult, but you have to be consistent in your effort over months and years. If you have trouble starting with good habits, try reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Start very small, spend like 2 minutes per day on Latin if you really have trouble with maintaining consistency. Consistency beats quantity on any day. A reminder that this is the first part of a series. Next episode I will go in much detail with each stage, with their tools, and to set up the right environment for acquiring Latin. Thank you for watching.